where they're constantly walking with the kayaks. And so I made that point. Actually, they made my case for me. So time and again, we come back to the point where there's nothing in your codes that prevent people from, waterfront property owners, from accessing the surface waters. So they're going to get there one way or the other. The idea of these fixed elevated structures is, instead of having people dragging, walking through and dragging watercraft through the wetlands where you would get those significant adverse impacts, you create this single point of access. And the idea is that the structure is elevated, the structure has the light penetrating decking on top. So basically the marsh is preserved beneath it. And it creates really the least impactful way to provide a homeowner access to the waterfront in a way that does not have any significant adverse impacts. And that has basically been demonstrated time and again on each of these governmental levels, because other agencies besides yours, like the New York State DEC, has these similar permit standards. If there are going to be significant adverse impacts to the wetland, those agencies aren't supposed to issue permits either. So these are the guidelines, the construction design guidelines, the location, the height, the maximum width, etc.
So let me ask you this. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm really learning here. So
no, it's fine.
I understand exactly what you're saying, but I want to take a little bit of a detour for a moment. And that is, you said, listen, it's really bad to trample all over the marsh and the wetlands because you're destroying it. No question about that. But if the object is to preserve the wetlands and not have a substantial adverse impact, maybe it's that we don't belong going over them at all. In other words, you may own property with a waterfront, but you can't get to that property on the waterfront. My apologies. So, and the only way I can think that analysis would hold any water at all, and I'm not sure it does, is the pilings. What about the whole series of little pilings that you have to put down to support the 140-some foot deck? Is that harmful to the waterway, the whatever's underneath the water and so on?
Well, not to any wildlife. It's just there is a physical displacement of those circular areas of marsh by the pilings, which is unavoidable.
Right. Is it harmful to the wetlands is what I'm asking.
Well, I mean, it's harmful to that circular area
right.
of wetland that's being displaced by the pile.
But it doesn't create a knock-on effect of eroding, destroying, and beginning to decay the entire wetland area there.
No, because that's actually the trade-off that you're making, is that you're allowing those isolated one-time areas of disturbance in order to ensure that you don't get this sort of sprawling, unregulated, uncontrolled access and trampling of the marsh. Because the waterfront, if you have access to tidal waters, the waterfront owner has a riparian right of access to reach that. So it's just a question
But for the wetland code.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to work through.
Right.
So I guess what you're arguing, though, is that the structure prevents, rather than imposes, it prevents a substantial adverse impact.
That is exactly my argument.
Yeah.
And that
in spite of even touching and going down into the water, it's okay because it's preventing a substantial.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And that has been basically the same argument in these other cases with the same findings, and that's why the design is consistent with those decisions, to make sure the materials are untreated, the decking is open grate.
Okay.
Just trying to be consistent. You're welcome.
I appreciate it. That's very helpful. Any other comments, questions?
We're live. We're back on.
Oh, we're live. All right. Well, just so everyone in the room knows, apparently we are now online live. Great.
Well, that's good.
So for those of you joining, we're hearing the first substantive case presented, which is case number 3129. So thank you for joining. Okay.
I think it's 3219.
Oh, sorry. Did I
just double check that?
I apologize. Hold on. Let me get my agenda right here.
That's correct. 3219 is the correct number.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
And did you say you had a copy of the affidavit of mailing? I didn't see it here in the file.
I do.
Well, they spelled it.
Okay. Yeah, apologies.
It's not your fault. That's what it says on the paper.
Alex, if you don't mind
It says 3129.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I was just going to say.
It's 32.
Okay.
Okay.
I see it right here.
what date that was submitted.
All right, let me just point out two things for the record for people catching up. We are right now hearing a case called Madison Avenue Capital, and in the agenda it says part, 1323 Meadow Lane. Please don't get confused. In the agenda, it's called Capital Park, it should be Capital Partners, and in the agenda it says 3129. It's actually case 3219. So when you're looking for the records online, no, it's case 3219, not 3129, and it's Madison Avenue Capital Partners, not Park. That's okay, it's fine, we're getting there, but I just want to make a note.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Any further comments or we want to make on this particular application? It's been a great discussion, thanks to you, appreciate that. Any other comments?
Would it be
Concerns?
Would it be unusual to ask if they could talk to Ducks Unlimited to find out if, in fact, I know seagulls use it? Would it be helpful to ask on Ducks Unlimited to remark on how a dock like this could possibly affect, because that area is, ducks and geese definitely fly there. I know because we used to shoot them and eat them.
That's a surprising twist of that question.
Did not think we were going to go there.
What?
Right.
I
we
mean,
used to forage for our food.
based,
One point.
based on my experience and expertise, I can assure you they do not. But it actually ties to a question I was about to ask the chair. Do you have a report from your environmental consultant on this? Because that's
No.
typically
We don't on this. Lisa was also having issues with joining on Zoom and said to reach out if you need anything specific.
Okay.
because I would defer to, they're giving you some additional
Right.
guidance
Yeah.
as opposed to reaching out to a unrelated third party.
Just one last, just for me, with this 146-foot part. The other examples you made, the neighboring parcels that you've done over the years, that you've installed these, is there anything of this length? Anything close to it? I'm just curious, because that just seems like a long run. And again, I understand why, but in the others, was it like this too?
Not all. I'm trying to remember. I know the two that are immediately to the west, no. The 1485, which is not on this lagoon, but I think two lagoons to the west, may have, the orientation was similar to the two that are close here, and that it was a straight shot sort of from the house to the water, but it was a much wider swath of marsh. So that number may have been closer in the 100-foot range. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but if it was close, it would be that case at 1485 Meadow, the 3035. I don't have that number
Okay.
here off the top of my head, but I do remember that was a much longer structure than the two that you see immediately to the west of this site.
Right.
And again, it's just a consequence of there being a greater distance from the upland to the surface water.
Any other comments? All right, so Alex, given what you and I spoke of this afternoon procedurally and the conversation here on this particular case, we have a question of the jurisdiction regarding the tidal waters. And now we have a question for Lisa Rickmere regarding the safety and impairment of the waterfowl. So we could put this over just to the next meeting to inquire about both. Is there anything else we need to be doing during that interim period?
No, it sounds like we would adjourn it to the next meeting, and then we'll allow anyone who had issues joining on Zoom to submit any comments between now and then.
Okay, now, assuming at the next meeting, Lisa says this is not a problem, assuming no one else has any comments or objections, assuming we do have jurisdiction, which we can chat about in a minute, sir, if you like, should we go ahead and have Lisa prepare the wetlands special permit, or is that premature? Otherwise, they're going to get bumped to another month's meeting.
Yeah, we can ask Lisa to at least to draft something for the board to discuss at the next meeting, so that way if the board is in agreement, it could be approved at that time.
Signed. I just don't want to make them wait too
Yeah,
long
understood.
because we had a Zoom problem is really my point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they're going to have to come back anyway, can we
Yep.
do the anyway discussion and then also they'll have the wetlands permit prepared? Okay.
Yep.
So,
What was the jurisdictional question? I didn't follow that part.
excuse me, one second. Okay, yes, thank you very much. So, Alex, do you want to discuss the jurisdictional one?
Oh, there was just a procedural question about the state's regulation of tidal wetlands versus the village's jurisdiction and the distinction between freshwater and tidal wetlands. And we just wanted to make sure that this board has jurisdiction to grant the permit that you've applied for,
Understood.
and that we're being redundant of other permits that you've received.
Right, understood. And were you saying you would expect that you would have response back from the environmental consultant ahead of the next meeting?
Yes,
And when would that date be?
December 4th,
December 4th, okay.
on the first Thursday of each month. So we just want to clarify that we have jurisdiction over a case involving tidal water. We know we do over fresh water. The question is tidal water, so we can get that answered pretty quickly, but we need to get that answered. And then secondly, we can ask her about the question regarding the safety in terms of the waterfowl. She can report back on those and those type of issues. And then third, if that all goes well and there's no other comments, we can say, all right, we can close it down. We can, approve the application, if you will, and ask that we sign the wetland special permit, which she would have prepared.
All sounds fair
Does
enough,
that
thank you.
work?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sounds good. Thank you for hearing
Thank
me.
you for your time.
Thank you.
And thanks for your information. It was very helpful.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So with that, was there a motion to adjourn to December 4th?
That's true. Do I hear a motion to adjourn that case?
Motion.
Do I hear a second? Okay, case number 3219 is adjourned.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry,
Aye.
I'm really bad at it.
I
Great, and we've got Joyce and Tom voting affirmative as well.
All right, welcome
Yes.
Tom and
There
Joyce.
you are. Tom did do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excited to see you. All right.
It's good to finally be in.
It took a while to get you guys in, but we have a master of all things in the back working his magic. All right. So now we're moving on to area variances, special acceptance. The first case, the carryover case of 3209 Tallow Building Corporation has been withdrawn, so it is noted such on the agenda. I'm making the comment for the record. So the next case is 3215 Hamptons HDA LLC, 116 North Sea Road. And I see we have Mr. Bennett here, and let's chat about that case.
My name is John Bennett, and with me is Joseph Goodell, who represents the tenant on the property. There were affidavits that previously been submitted. This was adjourned one time. And just so that I don't-
John, just hold on, we're gonna get the
Hold on.
microphone set up over
Get
there
you
for you.
mic'd.
Well, I'll stand there if you want. I'll set this up. Oh, okay, that's okay. And as part of the application, I talked about some case law, so I do have copies of them for council and for Alex and the board members. And I'm kind of bore you with this because the legal concept is very, 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 very simple. Oh, thank you.
Oh,
So, I can get my security blanket here, which is my sword. So Chris Talbot made a determination that the pre-existing business retail use on this property, which is behind the house on the property, had been abandoned. So you may remember this. This was, I think Inez McQuinney had a place in there, and there was a place that sold furniture. But it's very interesting what the property CO says. It says it's a two-story, two-family dwelling, valid pre-existing non-conforming accessory barn with business/retail use and 2 accessory sheds. And what we're here about is the accessory barn with the business/retail use. That's what the CO says. But then it also says something very, very, very important. It says approved parking on site for Schmidt's Market in accordance with planning board approval. So what do you have here? You have the house And then you have the barn, which has a CO for a business retail use. And then you have a separate business use on the property, which is certificated. It's the parking for the adjacent retail use, which is also, by the way, non-conforming. It's all in an OD zone, but it's used to be, now it's going to be Red Horse Market. It was Schmidt's for many years. It was, what's his name? There was a furniture place in there. The guy by the name of Murphy owned it. And I'm really dating myself. It was McLaren's Market. I don't know if anyone remembers that.
I do.
It was a long time ago, John McLaren. So that's a pre-existing non-conforming retail use. And some of the parking for that pre-existing non-conforming retail use is on this property. And that's going to be very important. Village Code 11619. So what I want to talk to you about is the fact that we don't think it's been abandoned, the actual use in the barn. But then I'm going to talk to you about the fact that under pretty clear case law, unless you abandon all aspects of a pre-existing non-conforming use on a property, you haven't abandoned them. So even assuming arguendo, Chris is right, and we say he's not because of the time periods, because I'll talk to you about that, about the barn, the case law, including Court of Appeals case law, is very clear. If you have two non-conforming uses, or you have a non-conforming use on a property, two of them, and you take one away for a while, but you don't take them both away, you can come back and reinstitute that non-conforming use. It's pretty clear in the law. So we had, let's first deal with the fact that we don't think that retail use in the barn has been discontinued. We have an affidavit that's been submitted of Carmen Gutierrez, who's the property manager for the subject property, and an affidavit from the former tenant, Michael White, that we think pretty clear that demonstrates there hasn't been an abandonment for a period of 3 years. The existing property structure is being used by Jenny Lauren Jewelry. It's a retail establishment who commenced occupying this structure in January 27th, 2025, this year. Prior to the occupancy by Jenny Lauren Jewelry, and this is all in my submissions, the structure was occupied by Georgica Builders from 2019 until August 2022. So August 30th, 2022 to January 27th, 2025 is clearly less than 3 years. And the lease for Georgica Builders, and they were there so there was no 3-year lapse. And the lease from Georgica Builders also states that it had to be used for retail sales. It's essential to lessor that lessor utilize the premises at all time for retail sales in addition to administrative services. So that was the lease with Georgica Builders that was there before Jenny Lauren Jewelry, who's the current tenant, Mr. Bazell's client, and that lease, and the gap between the end of that tenancy and Jenny Lauren Jewelry, the current tenant, is less than 3 years. So there was no abandonment of the business retail use permitted by the CO for a property of less than 3 years. We also have, let me see, I think this made it into the file, but if not, there's a letter from Clarence and Maria Banks, who own an adjacent property. They use that for office and a
John,
residence. I'm so sorry.
Is the lease with Georgica Builders in the file? I don't find it in mine.
Yes. Oh, it may not be.
Okay.
You know something? I was looking through it. It may not be. I'll submit that.
Okay.
That's an important part. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking through it, and I may have dropped the ball on that. My apologies.
No,
No, it's important. I'll get that Georgica because there's an affidavit from the
Yes.
Georgica Builders. I'll put the lease in. If I had the copy, I wish I had multiple copies. I would just put it, and I'll make sure it gets in the file tomorrow. So then there's a letter from Clarence Banks who states that he's owned the property for over 30 years and aware the property has been consistently used for retail purposes, and we have no objection to the continued use of the property for retail purposes. So our position is that the facts are there's been no abandonment of the business/retail use in that barn structure. But even assuming for the purposes of argument that there had been some lapse, and this is as lawyers, we always make these arguments about assuming arguendo. We're not conceding that there's been an abandonment, a cessation of the use in that structure for a period of in excess than 3 years. But even for the purposes of argument, assuming there has been, there's no harm, no foul. And why? Because there has been a continuous use of the other non-conforming business use on that property, i.e. the retail parking for what was Schmidt's and is now going to be Red Horse Market, which is specifically on the CO. Approved parking on site for Schmidt's Market in accordance with planning board approval. So why is that so important? Thus the case law that I handed up to you. The Court of Appeals in a case, Marzella versus Monroe, was faced with the following situation. There were 2 structures on this property. It was somewhere in Westchester County. There were 2 structures on the property, and the code only permitted a 2-family home. Interesting. There was a single-family residence on the property and a 3-family home on the property. These are the facts in Marzella versus Monroe. The owner of the property stopped using the 3-family residence for a period of, I was like, somewhere between 6, I think it was 15 years, or maybe 6 years, whatever. It was a long time. And then and then went in to reconstitute, as it were, that 3-family use on the property. Now remember, in the zoning code in the appropriate town, you could have only a 2-family residence on the property. They had a 1-family residence and a 3-family residence. They stopped using for a certain period the 3-family residence, but kept using the 1-family residence. Guy goes in for a building permit. I want to reconstitute the 3-family residence. The municipality turns him down. The Court of Appeals overturned the municipality, holding that, quote, abandonment does not occur unless there has been a complete cessation of the non-conforming use. There was insufficient evidence to demonstrate that the entire non-conforming use has been abandoned. So if I have, as I have in this circumstance, 2 non-conforming uses on the property, unless I cease both of them, I can re-up the one that exists. And that's pretty straightforward in that case. There was a case also, Daggert versus Town of Dunkirk. It's a 4th Department case, but I think it's still good law, and there's a Court of Appeals case which hasn't been overturned, the first one, Marzella versus Monroe. In that case, the property was improved by 2 pre-existing mobile homes, and that zone didn't allow mobile homes. It's just interesting what happened. The owner removed one of the mobile homes from the property for 6 years. Oh yeah, that's right, the prior one's 15 years. And this one was 6 years. The guy removed the mobile home for 6 years. And that code provided that a non-conforming use is abandoned after a year. The municipality said you can't put it back. The 4th Department held, following this Marzella versus Monroe case, that the non-conforming use had not been abandoned because one of the trailers remained on the property at all times, and since there was not a complete cessation of the non-conforming use, the right to maintain the 2 trailers was not abandoned. Then there's a case, Islip versus PBS Marina. There was a pre-existing non-conforming marina was operated in the town of Islip. During the period of that time, the sale of the property was pending. The operations of the marina were scaled back such that there was only 1 mooring was leased. The appellate division said, not surprisingly, it can't be said that there was a complete cessation of the property of the use, because again, the whole thing hadn't been abandoned. And then in case there's any question about the fact that these are lessor, these are tenants, we gave you a case, a 2nd Department case, that states that the fact that the property owner itself does not occupy the non-conforming use is irrelevant. The tenants have continued to use the property for the business retail use. Remember, it's interesting what the CLO says. I mean, I wouldn't have this argument if it wasn't for that parking that's right on the CO. And business retail use, approved parking on site for Schmidt's Market. Now we have the Clarence Banks letter. So I guess the question is, how would you like me to proceed? I think you probably want to talk to Brian about the case law that I submitted. If you agree with me on the case law that the unless you abandon the entire non-conforming use, that would be what I'm calling the Schmitz parking, as well as the business retail use in the barn. If you agree with me that you have to abandon both of them in order to have a cessation of the non-conforming uses on the property, which is, I think it's pretty clear what those cases say. You don't even have to go into looking at the affidavits and the leases and stuff like that, because even assuming there was a lapse there, I can still bring it back because I didn't abandon the pre-existing non-conforming retail parking. Pretty much where I am.
Okay.
And my apologies, I'll get you the Georgia Builders lease. I should have put that in the file.
That'd be
My
great.
apologies.
What was the term of the lease for Georgia Builders?
Georgia Builders, it's in his affidavit.
See it
Let me
here.
get it for you.
It says that they ended use on August 30th,
Well, excuse me?
2020. It says in his affidavit that he stopped using it on August 30th, 2022.
22.
When did it start?
He started,
And when did his lease expire properly?
well, his lease expired before that, but as he explained, let me get his affidavit. Let me get Michael Watt's affidavit. I'm sorry, it's supposed to be here.
And while you're doing that, I just want to be clear, looking at the affidavit, it doesn't say that it was being used. It only says that the company was tenant at the property through a series of leases and renewals commencing in 2019. And occupancy was as per our agreement, continued well into the year. We did not vacate and move our company until August 30th.
That's why I'm asking. Like,
Okay.
It
when
says
did
nothing
the
about
lease
use.
start? When did the lease end? And then my next question is going to be, and when were they using it?
He says occupancy was as per agreement well into the year. It was not until August 30th that we vacated the premises and moved. Throughout the entire time, our occupancy was interrupted. It was a
Right.
holdover. It says, as a result of a dispute regarding the amount of rent owed, we did make a payment to the landlord and settlement of outstanding rent issues, and they didn't move out until August 30th.
Right. So, John, my question is, what was the term of the lease?
Well, the lease would have expired on February, I guess, before he moved out.
Do we know the term?
Excuse me?
Do we know the term?
I'll
yeah.
get that for you. Let me
Okay.
see. Maybe it's right here. There's a series of leases, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was a series.
And
I'll
I'm not
give you
trying
all
to put
that.
you on the spot. You can
No,
give
no,
it
no,
to
no,
us
no.
later. But I'd like to
There's a proper questions.
and
I'll
I'd
get
like-
you the answers.
And I'd like to see the lease, which I'll explain to why in a second.
Yeah,
If I
absolutely.
could get the lease, that'd be great.
That's right.
And so,
But understand my point.
I understand your point.
Okay.
Do we know? You mentioned that the Georgia Builders were in there. They're obviously an office. They're the building company using it as their office. What was the retail use during their tenancy?
I'll get more information from Michael White on that.
Okay, no problem. And then,
I was just going to ask that.
yeah,
I was just going to ask him what was being done there.
But I think what's critical here, and
Is the parking
I'll get
lot?
all
Is
that
the parking
information.
lot
Excuse
part-
me?
The parking lot part of it, is that what you're saying?
Let's
that it's
assume
all,
for the
it's all
purpose
in
of
the-
argument, the owner and Michael White blew it, and they, I don't know how else to say it, and
Yeah.
they didn't continue the use
Yeah,
for the appropriate amount of time.
yeah,
It's irrelevant
because of the parking lot.
because of the parking. And the cases that say, unless you have abandoned
well, that's
every
what
aspect.
I'm trying to find out here, and that is,
Okay.
the question really is, during the leasehold tenancy, the
Right.
lease tenancy of Georgia Builders, who had the legal right to use that parking lot? Did that lease provide that the
Oh,
parking
no,
lot
no,
was
no,
going to
no.
be used
Schmitz
by
Schmitz
Joe
had the
Schmo?
right to use it. Oh, no, that's clear. The parking is used for Schmitz. The CO says it's the Schmitz. It's the Schmitz parking.
And what was the term for the Schmitz parking lot use?
I think that's an easement. It must be, because you couldn't have
Okay,
granted
what was the
the
term of
Length.
the easement?
You mean length?
length of it. It's still in use. It's been in use for
Well, Schmitz
20,
is gone,
25
so-
years. No, but
But
the
Red
village
Horse.
has granted,
To Red
obviously
Horse.
Right, but
granted
there's
site
a-
plan approval to Red
But
Horse
there's
Market.
a gap in time between Schmitz And Red Horse.
We're not worried about Schmitz and Red Horse. Nobody's made a claim that the abandonment on what I'll call the McLaren property, which is different, no one's made a claim that there's been any abandonment of that
Well,
retail use.
Let me say it differently.
Okay.
You're saying that the retail use of the parking lot was a continuous use throughout, and therefore preserved this.
Yes, and nobody's
correct?
challenged.
I'm asking a question about that.
Yes, I am.
So who were the retail use tenants over time? I'm hearing that it was Schmitz.
Well, it
And then
was
it was-
McLaren's Market, and then a guy by the name of Murphy had like wood and wool in there for something like that for many years. And then Dennis was there, good Lord, for 25 years. And now presumably,
Who's
you know,
Dennis? Is that
Dennis Schmidt, I'm sorry.
Schmidt? Okay.
Schmidt. And then presumably, the village hasn't seen any abandonment of that use since they gave a site plan approval and a building permit to the Red Horse Market to reopen.
So I'd like to know when Schmitz quit the property.
Okay, I don't
And
know
I'd like
that
to
I
know
don't
when,
know that.
And I'd like to know when Red Horse
Okay.
has a new lease to use that parking lot.
Okay. Understand though, and again, if I can get that, I'll get it. It wouldn't necessarily be public record, but there's
Well, wait a minute, they're businesses, and I'm in insurance. They've got to have insurance, they've got a lot of things. They've got to have a legal right to use a parking lot, and they have to probably have insurance on it and everything. So Schmitz must have had an official document saying, you may now use this parking lot.
the certificate of occupancy says approved parking.
I'm not talking about
on-
certificate of occupancy, I'm saying a lease to use the parking lot
Okay,
as a
let-
business. Leasing the parking lot for their business use.
No one is claiming
Oh,
that the parking on this subject property that is utilized by Schmitz and their successor, no one is claiming that that use, which is part of what will now be the Red Horse Market, has been abandoned.
I'm not suggesting that. Okay, no problem. I'd like to see the legal agreement saying that Schmitz had the right to lease that retail parking lot
It
for
was
their
on their
use.
site plan. It was on their site plan. They couldn't have been granted site plan approval without demonstrating that. It was on their site
And how
plan
did they
approval.
demonstrate that?
I don't know, but I don't know.
Wasn't- Okay.
I wouldn't. My suggestion
Right.
would be it's irrelevant because it's on their site plan, and it's part of their certificate of occupancy for that property.
And what was the term of that certificate of occupancy for Schmitz?
It's not limited in time.
When did Schmitz quit the property and therefore their certificate of occupancy of that retail parking lot terminated?
But again, if I
we
may,
could probably find
I'll
that
find out what I can find out. I'm not, but again, my position, and I think it's clear, and I think it's the right position, is that there has been no claim that the Schmitz, we're just calling it the Schmitz Market because we know it's not going to be Red Horse, there's been no claim that that use, which is, has been abandoned. So that pre-existing non-conforming retail use for the parking, which is also on this property, is part of that certificated approved use for the property to the north, i.e. the McLaren, then Schmitz, now Red Horse Market. So I'll see what I can get for that, but my position would be it's since no one has claimed, the building department hasn't claimed that that use has been abandoned, and indeed there's a site plan. Alex,
What's-
when Red Horse Market came in, they must have gotten a building permit to do all that work there.
They do have a
correct?
building permit.
Yeah, so and they're using that site plan, they're using that parking. If someone had claimed, hey, not only was this barn use abandoned, but the parking on the Schmitz property has been abandoned, I would see that, if I may, that, Madam Chairman, that then your inquiry would be a proper one, but no one has claimed that the Schmitz property use has been abandoned. As a matter of fact, they're in open site pursuant to a building permit about to occupy the property.
I know
Am I
the
wrong?
permits are still open. I don't know how close they are to a certificate of occupancy, but they're working on it.
Yeah, they're working on it, and they had approval to do what they're doing there. And if they had abandoned it, you wouldn't have issued the CO, or rather the building permits. Am I wrong?
Presumably.
Yeah. You can just say yes or no.
I don't want to speak for somebody else. I don't issue permits.
No, but but you know what I'm saying.
Can you explain to me where Schmitz is relative to the map that you've,
Schmitz is to the north.
right over here?
Right over there.
Yeah.
And this
Where is,
whole area.
and where is this, the retail parking?
It's on
That
the
is on-
southerly portion of the,
Does it
I'm sorry,
abut-
the northerly portion of this property.
Right.
Actually-
Does the Schmitz building abut this property?
Yes, yes, yeah. Otherwise, I mean, you'd have this parking out in the middle of nowhere.
It's up here, right? It doesn't abut it.
No.
No,
that's
no, it
right.
doesn't abut
And
it.
it has its own parking over
does.
here,
It's
all the way
And
around.
on this side too.
If you drive
So
over,
I'm trying to identify what this exactly
That's exactly
is.
what I'm asking about
you
right
can
now.
see it. You can see
Yeah,
it. If you
there
drive
are
over to
people
the
parked
Schmitz,
there
you should go,
So it says Belgian block curb.
right.
That's where the parking, it's adjacent to it, or it's sitting, you can park on the Belgian block?
No, you can,
It
No,
goes
in
about,
here.
I'm
Well, no,
just
the Belgian
confused.
block curb is right here.
Right.
And this dotted stuff, that's allegedly where cars are parking in here.
where
This is just the
people
trim.
park there
The
today.
Belgian block trim. But
Okay.
But when you say, Carol, when you say, I'm sorry, Madam Chairman, when you say allegedly, it's right on their CO.
well,
Two-story, single-family dwelling, which is that house on the southerly part of the
Right.
property, the valid pre-existing non-conforming accessory barn, which is what Chris
Right.
is saying was abandoned, and then approved parking on site for Schmitz Market in accordance with planning board approval.
so
I'm
he's
not-
saying that the
I mean-
planning board approved Schmidt's use of this wedge for retail use of Schmidt's,
And therefore.
which is shocking to me.
Yeah, to me.
Well, you could. It's just shared
just that
parking
it's-
is something that
It's new
happens.
news, we didn't realize this. So I have to think this through. Okay. Those were my questions, Mr. Bennett.
Oh, here it is, right there.
Yeah, it's in the
Pretty
back.
clear on the survey.
That's what we're looking at,
See?
yeah.
Belgian block curb. See, it juts into the subject property by, I don't know.
John, the confusion was this. To the north of this property, of course, is Schmidt's.
Yes.
Schmidt's is further north, and it is surrounded on this side by its own parking.
Oh, yeah, right here. Yes, yes, yes.
It's not like they, bear with me for a
Oh,
moment,
I'm sorry.
hypothetically, it's not like they needed that wedge, so we assumed, oh, well, somebody was just parking there from Schmidt's, but it really wasn't supposed to be Schmidt's parking. And we don't know, but now you've explained, no, Carol, the planning board said Schmidt's can use that. And so it's been officially designated by the
Yes.
Village of Southampton
Yes.
as retail commercial parking for Schmidt's.
Thus the
throughout this time.
Thus the certificate of occupancy.
Then we get into the issue of.
Dennis
well,
was
when
always
did-
complaining that he didn't have enough parking.
Right, but then we get to the issue of when did Schmitz move out? Did that, therefore that use ceased? It did cease physically, because that place has been empty for years. And yes, now we have another group in there, Red Horse, but they've been given the same CO, you're saying, with the same permission to use the same retail parking?
They inherit the site plan. You know, what they say, zoning runs with the land, not with the individual.
Right.
So they inherit the site plan.
Okay. I'm not sure how that works, frankly, so I can't
Oh.
agree or disagree. I really can't.
But zoning runs with the land. It's not, again, I
But
just
do
don't-
they inherit, I haven't seen what the planning board did, Alex, so I'd like to see what the planning board did with
We can
this.
find that file.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they inherited that, that's what we need to confirm, because if so, they inherited retail parking. God bless them. So, okay, that's really helpful.
But
John.
you can see it when you drive by it.
Oh, no, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Okay, those were my questions.
And it was improved. See, there's a catch basin over there, the curving and all that stuff.
Do y'all have any questions? I'm sorry, before, do you have any questions?
No, those were the issues.
Okay.
Any questions?
So what's the intended, let's say, where's the intended parking for this retail,
For the,
On.
for the, yeah,
oh, it's on the site.
It's on there?
Yeah, it's just a paved driveway. It's on the site. People come in, they park in front of the barn. It's always been sort of there was never a site plan approval for this. This goes way back. I mean, there was never a site plan approval. This is one of these.
So where it says paved driveway
Yeah,
and
people come
slab,
on-
that's
yeah,
where they
people come in
park?
and So you don't have any photos of
I
that?
mean,
Don't
maybe
have any
3 cars
photos
or
of the
4 cars.
outside.
No,
You just introduce yourself.
Oh,
Okay.
that's it.
Hi.
For the record,
Oh, and-
Joseph F. Pizzell.
Hello,
Sorry, just need you in the microphone so we can hear you online.
hello, Mr. Pizzell.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. Sorry, we're
Joseph F.
struggling.
Pizzell, Pizzell Blanda Visconti, 535 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York. I represent Jenny's Barn. And I've been to the site a few times. People park in the area near the barn, and then they go into the store. I have some photos of the store I'd like to turn in. My client has asked me to do that.
Thank you.
She did a, I didn't get back to the microphone.
Oh, they're all different. Yeah. Oh, look at that jewelry, my favorite.
She did a beautiful job on the store. It's been well received. When she signed the lease and when she got underway, she understood that the retail was permitted there. She just wants to be a part of the village and operate a store. She does make her own jewelry, but the store sells some other things as well. You'll see there's some children clothes, they sell some books, they sell some games. It's actually a really cool store to browse around. I was there with my wife. She bought several things. The one T-shirt she wears like all the time. Some of the other stuff, well, I may see it in a rotation somewhere along the line. But it's very nice, and it's vastly improved from what it was. And she just wants to operate and be a part of Southampton.
Well, we appreciate that, and we welcome business. And
Thank you.
I don't know if you are familiar with what our board has done so far, but we're pretty big supporters of the business world, so.
You have a beautiful downtown, in my opinion, and I've been in all of them. The most beautiful downtown on Long Island.
Well, thank you.
We agree.
I live in Northport, which is a great downtown, but it's small. Great theater. It's like seeing an off-Broadway show. Some great restaurants. One of the chefs beat Bobby Flay in a meatball throwdown. But it's very small. Unlike any time on a weekday, I could dance with my wife on Main Street and not hit any traffic. But in the evening, it does get traffic.
So, any other
It's
questions?
also the final residence of Jack Kerouac, right?
Jack Kerouac used to drink at a place called Gunther's Tavern, and they had a little plaque to him in Gunther's. He was a fisherman for a while,
That's awesome.
and he drank at Gunther's.
That's great.
I went in there when I first moved in just to say I had a beer in the same place Jack Kerouac had a beer.
So, any other questions for them? So, here's where I am on this. I'm sure you're wondering where this checkered road is leading here. I just want to make sure I clear away what we need to be resolving.
I hear you.
And what I'm kind of stuck on for now, but you've given me a way to chase it down and resolve it after this meeting, is under subsection F1, it talks about abandonment, as you've cited. And it says a non-conforming use, retail, shall be deemed to have been abandoned, A, when it's changed to conforming use. Naive me, I thought, oh, Georgia Builders. Conforming use rather, office. But now you come and say, no. That parking lot was retail, and it was designated officially as retail, not just people happening to use it, because of out of custom and habit and so on. But it was officially designated. So I'd like just to take a moment and let them confirm that the Planning Commission and other people did indeed sanction that as Schmidt's parking, that has not been abandoned, that sat there while they were looking for a tenant, and has now been brought back into life with the Red Horse, right? So I'd like to document that officialness, if you will, so we make sure that we're following the code. I also want to read the other two cases you provided tonight, which would be great. Daggett and Islip. And that's all I would like to do. How about you all?
Same.
Anything else?
Same.
Okay.
But does that make sense?
Absolutely.
There's a logic there.
No,
believe
no,
it or
no,
not.
no, no, I'm claiming, hey, this is the, even assuming arguendo, that there's an issue with an abandonment on the structure, or a cessation or something of it. I'm claiming, hey, we've got this other non-conforming use, so you have to make sure that
Yeah,
it
the
indeed
structure
is the
went,
case.
the structure did go into business office use with Georgica. The issue is the parking lot.
Well, it's interesting what it says, it's business retail, so there's an ambiguity and the.
I'm assuming well, unless you tell me otherwise. He could come back and tell us about what he was doing and selling in there or something.
But interesting what the CEO says, it says business retail.
Again, we'd have to get people to come in, but it could be that was the parking lot retail reference. I don't know. I'm not the person, but we have to
Okay.
run that down.
Okay, you're doing your
Okay.
job, I respect
Right.
it. Absolutely.
It'll just take some running down. Is that all right, Alex?
Sure. Did you want to ask if any of the other board members on Zoom
Oh, that's
had
right.
any comments?
Now we're live. Board members on Zoom. Joyce, Tom, comments, questions on this one?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Tom, are you there?
Me too. Yeah, I'm here. I
Okay.
thought that was very complete. Thank you, Carol. You covered it beautifully.
All right. Great. And thanks so much for being there.
And if
All
you could
right.
just pass those photos up for the file, please.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
And you got the letter from Clarence Banks and Maria, right?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
We handed to you. Do you want one of those for the file as well?
No, I've got a copy of that. I just don't have
Okay.
the photographs.
And then as long as we're completing the record, just want to be clear, when you submitted the 4 cases, you mentioned that you had they were cases that you referred to in your submission.
No,
there's
only
the
one.
No, only the first one, Marzella. So it's just a 1-paragraph addendum.
That was the only first.
And I don't see
There's only
4. I
first.
see
Okay.
2 more, Daggett and Islip. Is there a 4th one?
Lindenhurst.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that one. Okay, I'll be reading them after.
You're right.
Okay. I just want to make sure there
No,
wasn't
that's fine.
something else missing.
Okay.
Alex, you want these?
So we're going to review Daggett, Islip, and Lindenhurst. We're going to chase down the retail use of that parking lot and the official nature of it, and then we will reconvene on December 4th and figure this out. Is that fair?
Thank you very
much.
All right.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn this case to November 4?
Moved.
Do I hear a
December?
second? December 4. I'm never going to get this right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're on the phone. Thank you,
Aye.
guys.
Thank you.
Great.
Happy Thanksgiving.
See you
Yeah,
November
it's an early
4th.
one.
Thanks, Eddie.
Where did you get these motions right?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. Now. All right. Our next case is case number 3213, and that is 268A North Sea Road. And someone come forward and we'll chat about that. Thanks for your patience.
Is this the affidavit of mailing and posting? Okay. Great. Thanks.
Was I supposed to bring that before? Or?
Yes, ideally, but thank you for bringing it now.
Yeah. This is this one.
Yeah.
Derek Kleinow. I live at 268A North Sea Road. Seeking an area variance for a 10-foot by 10-foot by 10-foot 8 high shed constructed in the corner of our side lot on our property. The setback for that side is 15 feet, and that is for a lot that's over 20,000 square feet. Our lot is 20,001 square feet. The setback requirement for a lot under 20,000 square feet is 10 feet. We're setback 7.9 feet. So either way, there's a variance needed, but I would just argue that I could give my neighbor 2 feet and maybe it would only be 2 feet. So I'm hoping that you see it as a fairly minor request. I just made a mistake. I didn't realize I needed a permit for this, so that was my mistake. What I did do, which I thought was the most important, was I talked to my neighbor, Joe, who's a good friend of mine. He, primarily uses his house in the summertime. You cannot see the shed through his privet in the summertime. There's a picture of that enclosed in my packet here. What else can I tell you? I designed the shed very tastefully. Certainly not the biggest shed I could have built. I have a 3-year-old and a 2-month-old, and just need room for the toys, honestly. Just need a little more space. We wanted to place it in the corner of our yard so that it wasn't kind of floating out in space in the middle of our yard, so the kids have room to play ball and do what they do.
So that's why we put it where we put it. Really, I don't think there's any other neighbors that can even see this structure. I'd also note that this is a flag lot. We're 100 yards setback off North Sea Road. You cannot see it from the road. And I think that's pretty much it. Happy to answer any questions.
Can you help me out? Can you tell me whether there are numerous other houses in your immediate vicinity, right around you, that have accessory structures close to the property line?
There's a lot actually. I don't know if anybody has been back there, but there's a property just to the south that recently sold that has a number of pre-existing non-conforming structures that abut our right-of-way. I mean, they're like, 5 feet from that right-of-way property line. The other neighbors to the east and southeast, I don't believe have accessory structures, but then there's another couple neighbors on Willow Street that also have accessory structures. I don't know if they're conforming or not. But again, we have privet that surrounds this shed on all sides. You can only see the low privet in our driveway. You can see maybe a foot or two of the roof of this shed. There's also a picture of that enclosed. I have a picture from earlier this evening if you want to see it in the November foliage, but it's pretty invisible.
And you're just using the shed for storage, correct?
Garden tools, garden equipment, kids' toys, beach toys.
Nothing noisy?
No.
Nothing crazy?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking these questions is, as you get to know our code, you will learn there are 5 tests we have to apply to see if we should give somebody a variance.
Sure.
And they're the ones you sort of answered the questions for in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And one is, will it have an adverse impact on the neighborhood? Well, if you're the only one with a accessory structure right plopped on your property line, that could be offensive. But
Sure.
if everybody in the neighborhood's doing it, you're not changing the character of the neighborhood at all. In fact, you're joining in with the milieu. The other thing is, would it be detrimental to the neighborhood, i.e. noisy, if you're using it to do shop work, if you've got a table saw in there, something like that.
Sure.
So the noise factor or the people factor, is there a lot of people in there, and that sort of thing. So that's why I'm asking those kinds of questions. I'm trying
Sure.
to figure out,
Yeah.
in the answers to those 5 questions, what makes this more acceptable than it would otherwise be prohibited,
Right.
right?
Sure. I mean, I would just say that I believe that we could build it as of right 15 feet off the property
absolutely.
line. Right.
Yeah,
So
but
I don't.
to
yeah.
get you to 7 point whatever.
Right.
We've got to get at these 5 questions.
Sure.
Is it damaging to the neighborhood? Is it damaging the environment?
Right.
And all that good stuff, which is the reason for my questions.
Sure,
Trying
totally
to help
fair.
justify it, if you will, and,
Yeah.
and to make it make more sense for an exception.
Sure.
So, all right. Any questions? I'll start with folks online this time, since we keep ignoring you. I apologize. So, do you have any questions about this particular request? Tom, any thoughts? No?
Nope,
Okay.
thank you.
Joyce? No? All right. Lauren and Linda, any thoughts, comments, questions?
Was this? Did you pour footing? Like, is it a cement? There's nothing
No.
like that
There's 4 cinder blocks just
holding it.
sitting, or maybe there's 6. Yeah.
Okay. So if you just asking you this, if you were to move it to that 15 feet, how would it change things for you?
It's just sitting more like an island in the middle of our side yard there, and that's our main yard where the kids.
That's where they play.
Well, one doesn't run yet, but run around, play ball, etc.
So-
So it's just gonna, yeah.
No, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm
No,
really not,
please.
because I'm a resident here, and I go through the same thoughts that you're dealing with right now. But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you moved it, I got to get my directions right. Where's my north, south here? If you moved it, if you moved it east, in other words, toward the entrance off your gravel driveway, toward the 2-story frame dwelling, it would still be along a hedge, which is the hedge that divides your driveway from your backyard. And therefore, the kids could still run around in the entire yard. Is that possible? Because that would bring you into conformity and you wouldn't need a variance.
I think it's not really possible. I think you meant west.
Toward your house.
Yeah, toward our house. There is, there's the HVAC mechanical over there, and it's kind of, there's a side patio door that comes down that it would kind of be running into there. So I think,
Well, what's the distance between your frame dwelling and the roof over the wood step and the side there? What's the width of that side yard? It looks like it's 62.7 feet.
you're saying on the east property line, or?
Yeah. What is it? The shed is along what property line?
Along the east.
East, great.
Yep.
What's the difference between the east property line and the house? 62.7 according to the arrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you move that shed another 7 feet, you'd be at the 55-foot mark. You'd have 55 feet between your house and the beginning of the shed. And it wouldn't be in the middle of your yard. It would just be further along the hedge. You're just sliding it along your own hedge.
It's more in the middle. I mean, I have a picture of how it's sited in the yard. I mean, it would be feeling much more like it's in the center of the yard. Then you'd also have a lot of dead space.
Can I show you something?
Sure.
I'm hoping that I'm not saying this very well. Can you take a look at the little, come on up here, let me show you what I mean. Because I'm not trying to put you in your yard at all.
No, it's
Your whole yard, say something, just move it this way along your hedge.
Yeah. I mean, it just
You got
creates.
67 feet.
You know-
This is a big yard in here.
Part of it is that the hedge has grown widely, substantially over the, so it's a few more feet out. So just to put it in front of that hedge.
There we go.
I was just saying that the hedge has grown out quite a bit wider than the survey shows. So it
30
would be,
feet?
no, but it would be, it would be much more in the center of the yard, and then the space to the east of it is just kind of like a dead corner space.
That's what happens with these setbacks. You're right.
Right.
Yeah, these setbacks do create dead space of 15 feet. There's no question about it.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah,
And just to confirm, the shed has no plumbing or electric?
Nope.
Okay.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
that's why I
question.
asked about the
That's a good question.
foundation.
All right. No further questions? Is anyone here in the audience would like to make a comment or question? Do we have anyone online who would like to make a comment or a question? And I'll go back to the board members online one more time. No comments up from you all then? Okay.
Carol, I liked your solution in that it accomplishes his needs without requiring a variance. So by not needing a variance, it passes all 5 of the tests.
Yeah,
Clearly.
that's where I was going for that. So one of the questions that you had to fill out is there a way to do this without needing a variance? And that's the way I was just describing, which is you move it along your hedge there, unfortunately, and yes, trim your hedge back if it's overgrown. And that's really what Tom is saying. I know he's muffled a little bit, but that's what he's getting to. Because what you're asking for is a 50% variance, right? That's substantial. So that hits question number 3. There is
Again,
another.
but yes, our square footage of our property is 2 feet above that.
Right.
I could gift my neighbor 2 feet, and then we'd be talking about 2 feet. So I would just counter by saying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, right now, we're looking at a 50% variance.
Sure.
And there is another way of doing it that wouldn't require a variance. And so we run into these test problems. That's my problem. That's our problem. And that's why he's saying that. So one of the questions is, can the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by some method other than an area variance? Yeah. You put it along your hedge.
No, it's also going to be more in the center of my yard, and so that's what I'm trying to say. I'm
Center
trying
of
to
your yard
perverse
along
that.
a hedge, yes.
Yeah,
Center of your side yard along a hedge by
Right.
your driveway.
sure, but that eats into the main area where our kids run around and play. So it doesn't. If they want to play a game of volleyball or tag football or something like that, it impedes in their,
Okay.
in the rectangular open area for them
Okay.
to play.
Fair enough. Okay.
And again, I understand everything you said. I'm just saying that I really feel that the detriment to anybody else is really zero. And the only person who could possibly care about this would be my neighbor to the east. And as I said, I have a letter from him included in here. He has no issue with it. He's actually doing a complete gut renovation on his house right now. He's adding another story that would theoretically be able to more see this structure. He still doesn't have an issue with it. So that's just why I understand everything you're saying. I understand your arguments, but I also feel, in my view, the pain for anybody else is really non-existent here, and that's why I thought it might be a reasonable request. So.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm just trying to kind of work through it. So I guess this comes down to then, so thank you for your comments.
Sure.
Just for the board's benefit, I think it comes down to the first one, will the granting of the variance produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood? The answer is no. Like you said, absolutely not. Can it be achieved by some other method that's feasible? Sure. You pick up the cinder blocks. I hate to be simplistic about it, but they could be moved along the hedge. Is it substantial? Yes. Right now, it's 50% of the permitted variance. Will it have an adverse impact on the physical environmental conditions? No, where it is now. And is it self-created? Well, yeah, because we put it in, but there you have it. So there's some yeses and there's some nos in there. Is the board ready to close this hearing, deliberate, and come to a decision, or would you like to think about it and adjourn to the next meeting so we can sort some of this through, having learned what we've learned, because this has been very helpful. What do you all think? Adjourn, or Tom is nodding, or yeah. Folks on Tom and Julie. Tom and Joyce. Would you prefer to go toward a decision this evening and vote, or should we adjourn it to the next meeting after we have a chance to think about what he's so helpfully explained this evening?
I think he should think about it, because if he does your suggestion, it makes all of this moot, and then we don't have to rule.
Okay. All right. Joyce?
Because it's in compliance, it's in conformance.
Right. Joyce?
Yeah, I agree with it. I think I recommend that we adjourn, because I like the idea that you propose, that he does have another option by which he could pursue without having to grant a variance, and it is a 50% ask. So, yes, correct. Thank you.
What do you think?
Just
Adjourn?
adjourn and just think about it.
Adjourn it. Yeah. So we don't want to make a decision tonight because it may not be a good one for you, in your interest. So I just as soon adjourn and think about it, and maybe we can see our way past this.
Sounds good.
That's a good faith statement on my part, really.
Understood.
Because we're fellow residents, and we don't want to say no unless we absolutely have to.
Yeah.
So let me think about it, and I'd ask that you think about it as well.
Absolutely. Look,
don't mind.
if I was going to just move it, I would have already moved it. I wouldn't be wasting anybody's time here. We obviously prefer to cite it where we cited it.
Right.
So that's why I'm here, right?
Yeah.
So we're asking for this. I understand your perspective, and absolutely, let's adjourn, and I appreciate you considering it.
We'll work through it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I really appreciate it.
Take care.
Need a motion?
Do I hear a motion to adjourn this case till December the 4th?
So motion.
Do I hear a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On the, both of them on the thing.
And if there's anything else you'd like to provide to the board in advance of the next meeting, it would just be due the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, like if there is others in the area that are like this, that are closer than
Or
50
photographs or
all that,
anything else you want to provide.
photographs,
Sure.
that sort of thing.
Will do. Thanks.
Okay? All right. Oh, thank you. All right, our next case is case number 3220-291 Hampton Road LLC.
So, is this your affidavits? Okay. Got it. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, yep, I think I did see that. All right, thank you.
I know, but you're right. That's why it's on. Yeah, you're right. Good evening, and thank you for waiting. You're
Good evening.
last. I apologize.
No problem at all. It was actually faster than I was expecting, so I think it worked out in everybody's benefit. I will be brief. My name is Tim McAuliffe. I represent the applicant. This is an application for a one-family residential use for the property located at 291 Hampton Road. One-family residential is a special exception use, which is specifically permitted for this property under the code. And just to give you a little background about the property, it was originally subdivided in 1914, and a dwelling was built thereon between 1914 and 1916. It was exclusively residential for 66 years, from at least 1916 to 1982, when the CO was amended to add a doctor's office. The property was most recently leased to Meeting House Lane Medical Practice in connection with substance abuse counseling, but that tenant notified the new owner that they were vacating and have vacated effective October 31st. The current New York State property code for this property is 483, or quote-unquote converted residence. The property is bounded by residential neighborhoods to the north and the south. It's R 7.5 to the north and R 12.5 to the south. The property is 21,000 square feet, or approximately 60% larger than the minimum lot size required in this area, which is 12,500 square feet. As you're aware, single-family residential use is a special exception use in this district, so it's presumptively valid. The code contains a number of factors that you must address to determine whether the proposed use, i.e. single-family residential, is appropriate for this property. And as set forth in my letter dated October 1st, 2025, it is respectfully submitted that a review of those factors requires approval of this application. I'm happy to address any questions you may have, and if you don't, I'm happy to rest on my submission.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Does anyone, well, there's no one in the audience left to make any comments. And do we have anyone on the Zoom left other than the two board members? I don't think so. So there's no one else to make comments, so I'll just turn it on over to the board members. I'll start off just to make it easy for everybody. I took a look at section 116.22, the general standards for special exceptions use, and they're laid out in the papers as A through N, if you will, that you've just alluded to. The fact that this is in what is largely a residential neighborhood, it just happens to have been years and years ago converted to an office type use. It's consistent with the neighborhood, it's harmonious, the plot area is sufficient, it won't prevent any adjacent properties from having use of their properties, it doesn't create more traffic, it doesn't require additional parking, it doesn't require additional curb cuts. I mean, it just doesn't rock any boat at all. So it does certainly seem to be deserving of a special acceptance. So my only comments would be it's very consistent with what the code has set forth, and it certainly seems to me would meet the standard, but I'm just throwing it out there for my fellow board members. What are your comments on it, folks?
I feel the same way, to be quite honest.
Okay, Lauren. Tom and Joyce, what are your thoughts?
Same thought. It's better for the neighborhood. It'll be less
Yeah, that's what I
traffic
thought too.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
first thing I thought.
and quieter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joyce?
Yeah, no, I agree. It sounds like on the whole, a very positive thing.
Okay. Rita, agree?
You might remember this board recently had the same special exception on 99 Sanford Place. So in considering this, you might want to revisit that application and some of the conditions that this board, in determining that it was appropriate for a single-family house, also in one of the office districts.
What were the conditions? What would we be looking
I can pull up that decision if you think it's helpful. There were certain zoning regulations to conform to residential standards. In that case, you felt was appropriate.
Well, that case, the lot size was an issue, if I
Mhm.
recall correctly. Here, the lot size is an issue. In fact, it's larger than the lots around it. It's not smaller. So I think that, I don't know that warrants waiting for that, is what I'm saying.
Right, understood.
You know?
Yeah.
So to be clear, it started out as a family residence, went to professional use, and now you'd like to put it back as a family residence,
Single-family residence,
Single
that's correct.
single-family residence.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Makes great
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I think it's a win.
It's a
All
win.
right. Are we ready to vote tonight? Have we reached that kind of consensus in our minds? I think we have.
Do
but-
you mean you would close the case and ask
Well-
counsel to prepare written findings?
Yes, that's what I mean. Are we ready to do that? Yeah. Everyone comfortable with closing this and directing Brian to prepare an opinion consistent with our discussions tonight? All right. Do I hear a motion to close this hearing?
A motion.
A second?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
This hearing is closed, and Brian, if you could prepare that opinion, that'd be
Mhm.
great, approving
Sure.
the conversion back to residential dwelling, single use. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a good night.
And then I would just want to
Would
note,
they all be that easy?
yeah, I'd want to note for the record before we go into the actual opinions that Brian so beautifully drafted. We did receive on October 28th a submission from First Coastal regarding something called Markov property, wetlands restoration buffer. If you guys will recall in other prior hearings, people are required to come back and give us an annual monitoring report in some instances. What you see in the record is, in your files, whatever, did they get this actually, Alex, now that I think?
It should have been distributed
It
to
should have been,
everyone,
right?
yeah. Mhm.
It was in the materials.
Yeah.
That is the annual report that the folks have to submit. And we review it, I reviewed it, and as long as it's consistent and so on, it's just simply noted for the record. And they fulfilled their obligation. So I would just note that for the record. Okay? So now we can move on to the opinions, Brian, that you have provided us. You want to walk us through the 3 opinions? I mean, in terms of, just moving us through?
Sure. First one was the 3217, which is 2 Moses Lane, or 32 Moses Lane, sorry.
And this is the flat roof to permit the solar
The
panels.
solar panels, correct.
Right?
Yep.
I read it, I thought it was very well reasoned, given some of the things we were talking about, the size and making it larger and so on. I thought the opinion was just great. I couldn't think of any edits, to be honest with you, Brian, so thank you for that. Does anyone have any comments on the opinion, or any things they want to change?
Straightforward.
No? Yeah, okay. So, I think we're good with signing that opinion. Will we-
Just need a motion to
Approve
approve
the
the
Do I hear a motion
opinion
to-
as drafted.
Do I hear a motion to approve the opinion as drafted?
Sure. Motion.
Any second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving as drafted? Aye?
Aye.
All right. And
Great.
the next one.
Next one would be 96 Edwards Lane, case number 3212. That was for setback variance for a 1-story addition and a basement egress stairwell.
Yeah. All right. I have to commend you on this one, because this was a hard case for me intellectually, and I thought that you put things in the opinion to show why the property was unique in certain respects and needed this type of variance that would minimize it becoming an overly broad, unintended precedent. So I appreciate your careful drafting on that. I really do. So thank you. And I thought it was a great opinion. I would definitely vote to approve the opinion as drafted. But what are the comments by everyone else on the board? Anyone have any concerns? No?
I thought Brian did a great job
Yeah.
of this one. I
Yeah.
agree with
Yeah. This was a case we really worked through. Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the opinion as drafted?
No motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Right.
All right.
Aye.
And the last case.
And the last one is case number 3211, which is 1030 Meadow Lane. They required 3 approvals. One of them was for the wetlands permit, which is not in this decision, and the others were with respect to the setback from the principal building and the setback to the crest of dune.
Right. I thought you did a great job in this one in terms of describing how so much of this is just simply filling out interior space or filling out overhang space and so on, and that the encroachment was not as substantial as one might otherwise think. So I appreciate the drafting. I really do. That was great. Does anyone have any concerns, though, or comments on the drafting and the opinion and how it's reflecting our discussions?
Brian, this one didn't, I don't believe included a wetlands permit request. There was a coastal erosion hazard line. Is that included in the decision?
No, that's not. That was for Lisa. I think Lisa drafted something along those lines. I was
Oh,
only
okay.
doing the variance part of it.
All right,
The first.
then we'll
Yeah,
we'll
the
have to
first
follow
two
up
she
with
was supposed to
Lisa.
do. I understood she was going to take care of the third.
Right. This is the split
Yes.
approach.
Yep.
Yep.
So I think what you're saying is the board has not addressed the coastal erosion yet, so that would be something you'd have to address at the
Right,
next
and
meeting.
we don't have a draft decision for that at this time.
But can we do that separately, and we can approve this opinion for
Yeah.
this variance?
Yes.
I don't see why
And-
not.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. So we could do that on December 4th, for example. Yeah,
Correct.
okay. So do I hear a motion to approve the opinion as drafted for 1030 Meadow Lane?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion as drafted by
Aye.
council is approved, and we await the coastal erosion permit from Lisa, perhaps next time.
Mhm.
Okay?
Sure, I'll
Great.
ask about that.
All right, well, that concludes, I think, everything.
The only thing I have on the calendar is the meeting schedule for 2026.
Right, as I said, then we move on to that.
Yeah, if we could at least adopt the first few months, that way we can start scheduling cases, because we're actually starting to schedule cases for next year, if we can believe it already.
Is everyone comfortable still continuing to meet on the first Thursday? And we are obviously moving the January 1 meeting to the third Thursday, because we're not coming in on January 1. But I don't think we had any others that were moved, correct?
I think that was the only exception for our federal holiday.
Right, federal, now we do have, I think, a Yom Kippur conflict. Was it Yom Kippur?
I think
That
it's
was
the
the-
April meeting falls on Passover.
Passover,
and
that's
during
right.
spring break.
So we may have a Passover, spring break kind of thing, but we can adjust these in January, I think, or when we get closer. But overall, is everyone comfortable continuing the same meeting cadence?
Yes.
And not acknowledging that in January, we will meet on the third Thursday, obviously. Is that good with everybody?
No.
No?
That January the 3rd would, I
You just cannot do it.
cannot do it.
So we've already got one person who can't do the third Thursday. But tell you what, I'll send out an email asking for attendance, and we'll see what we can put together, because maybe we can get the other 4 people here, and we'll be okay for January. So
Okay.
we'll work
I
with
can do it
it.
by Zoom.
Okay, we'll work with it. Yeah, we'll work with it. You're so great about being here. Okay, so
The third Thursday is the 22nd of January?
No, the 15th, I think, right?
15th.
Yep, the 15th.
15, they're saying? I don't have my phone.
Yep, 15th.
Yeah,
That's where I have it.
I'm fine then. I can be there in person.
Everyone okay? Everyone else okay with the 15? Can you tell me now? That'd be great to know. Tom?
I cannot attend on the
Okay,
15th.
so you're out, and Linda's by Zoom. Joyce is in. Oren, how about you? It's you, me, and Joyce for the quorum.
I will be here.
All right, I can be here. So it looks like the 15th is a go, and we'll miss you, Tom.
Thank you, sorry I missed.
Okay, and I wanted to take a look at the Easter and all that good
Look at
stuff,
the other stuff.
because I don't want to hit it on that. I didn't like it when we didn't have you for the holiday. I thought that was weird. So we'll work around that one and any others, okay? The other thing I just want to throw out is I spent some time with Alex today. I'm sure he thought way too much time, because I'm
Yeah.
just not clear on what I'm doing with these environmental impact type cases, and he made it so clear to me that I think we could use one of these educational sessions. So maybe we can sneak some time to go into working session at the end of one of these other meetings, or have another one on the third Thursday, maybe during the first quarter, because there's actually a standard you're supposed to apply. And there's a little secret kind of flow chart you can apply, and it was much clearer to me, and I thought it would make your jobs a little bit easier if you heard the same thing. So more to come on that. Okay,
Great.
is that it?
Yeah, happy to schedule it at the end
Yeah.
of one of the meetings, or if you want to set aside a separate date, just let me know.
Yeah, let's figure that out. I think it'd be great. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, the meeting is adjourned.